Welcome back to ChapterCast. In this lesson, we're diving into Chapter 9 of Miltenberger's Behavior Modification, Principles and Procedures textbook, which focuses on shaping, one of the most powerful tools in behavior analysis. By the end of this video, you'll understand how shaping works, why it's so effective in teaching new behaviors, and how it's applied in both everyday life and clinical ABA settings. We'll cover key concepts like successive approximations, reinforcement strategies, and practical examples that bring shaping to life. Whether you're a psychology or ABA student, preparing for exams, or just curious about how complex skills are built step by step, this chapter will give you a solid foundation. Let's get started. Have you ever tried to teach a dog to do something amazing, like roll over? You don't just say, "Fido, roll over," and expect him to do it. That would be crazy, right? Instead, you might give him a treat for lying down, then a treat for tilting to one side, then for tilting a little more. You get excited and clap for every tiny move in the right direction. Think about a baby learning to walk. It's a huge deal. No baby just stands up and runs a marathon. First, they learn to roll over. We all cheer. Then they learn to sit up. We go wild. Then they pull themselves up on the furniture, wobbling like a little jelly. We take a million pictures. Each little step is a huge victory. It's the same with learning to ride a bike. Remember that? At first, you might have had training wheels. Then maybe your dad held the back of the seat while you tried to balance. He didn't let go until you got a little better. All of these stories have something in common. They're about reaching a big goal by celebrating small steps. It's like building a giant Lego castle. You start with one single brick, then another, then another. This idea, rewarding small steps to build up to something big, is a super powerful tool. It even has a special name. We use it every day without even realizing it. All right, let's put on our fancy learning hats for a second. Don't worry, they're not tight. That thing we just talked about, it's called shaping. Shaping is a simple way of teaching a new behavior by rewarding all the small steps toward the final goal. You shape behavior little by little, like a sculptor with clay. Start with a lump. Make small, careful moves. Turn it into a statue. Now you need two fun-sounding things. First, successive approximations. Sounds fancy, but it means small steps. When the baby pulls up, that's a step toward walking. When the dog lies on its side, that's a step toward rolling over. Each small, closer step is an approximation. You're getting step by step closer. Second, differential reinforcement. Big words, simple idea. Give rewards for better tries. Don't reward the poorer tries. Reinforce differently. Dog learning to roll, treat when he lies on his side. Later, stop treats for just lying down. Only treat when he rolls a little further. Be picky to encourage the next step. Put it together. Shaping is the big idea. Successive approximations are the ingredients, small steps. Differential reinforcement is a coaching method that involves reward-improving steps. Reward the new, better step. Ignore the old, easier step. Gently push the learner toward the goal, making them feel successful. A beautiful, positive way to teach anything or any dog. Okay, so this isn't just something I made up to sound smart on TV. This shaping thing is real and it's backed by science. A super smart guy named B.F. Skinner is basically the grandfather of shaping. He did a lot of research, and not just with people. He famously taught pigeons to do all sorts of incredible things like play ping pong. Yes, you heard me right, pigeons playing ping pong. He didn't just put a paddle in their wings and hope for the best. He used shaping. He rewarded them for just looking at the ball, then for pecking the ball, then for pecking it in the right direction. The research shows that shaping is so powerful because it builds on success. Think about it. If you're trying to learn something new and you fail over and over, you're probably going to give up, right? You'll think, "This is too hard. I can't do it." But with shaping, you're almost always succeeding at something. Researchers have used it to help children with autism learn to speak. They start by rewarding any sound, then sounds that are closer to a word, and finally the word itself. The research also tells us that for shaping to work best, the rewards have to be quick. You can't wait 10 minutes to tell your dog he did a good job. He'll have no idea what you're talking about. This instant feedback connects the action with the reward in the learner's brain. So the science is clear. Shaping works because it keeps you motivated, it can teach anything, and it relies on quick, positive feedback. Are you ready to become a shaping superstar? Of course you are. It's easy, I promise. Here is your step-by-step guide to shaping behavior in your own life. First, you need to pick your final goal. What is the big, amazing thing you want to teach? Do you want your child to clean their entire room? Or do you want to teach your cat to give you a high five? Be very clear about what the finished product looks like. Next, you need to figure out the baby steps. These are your successive approximations. For cleaning a room, maybe the first step is just putting one toy in the toy box. Not cleaning the whole room, just one toy. For the high five cat, maybe the first step is just lifting a paw off the ground for a second. Now for the fun part, start shaping with rewards. When the learner does that very first tiny step, you reward them immediately. Your child puts one toy in the box, you say, "That's awesome, thank you so much," and give them a huge smile. The cat lifts its paw, it gets a tiny, delicious treat right away. Finally, you need to know when to move to the next step. Once your child is a pro at putting one toy away, you stop rewarding that. Now, you only give the reward if they put 2 or 3 toys away. And you just keep doing that step by step until you reach your final amazing goal. Let's see how this works in the real world. Imagine you have a child who is terrified of the water and you want to teach them to swim. You can't just throw them in the pool, that would be terrible. So you use shaping. Your big goal is for them to swim happily. The first step, maybe it's just putting on a swimsuit without crying. When they do that, you have a little party. You look like a real swimmer. This is so exciting. The next step might be just sitting on the edge of the pool dipping their toes in. Lots of praise for that. You keep building from there. The next successive approximation could be splashing their hands in the water, then using a kickboard while you hold them. Slowly, over days or even weeks, you are shaping their fear into confidence. Before you know it, they are kicking and paddling, all because you broke it down and celebrated every tiny victory. Here's another one. Let's say you want to start exercising, but the idea of going to the gym for an hour sounds horrible. You can shape your own behavior. The big goal is to work out for 60 minutes 3 times a week, but your first step? Just put on your workout clothes. That's it. Do that for a few days. Feel good about it. The next step is to put on your workout clothes and walk to your front door. Then walk to the end of the street. Then walk around the block. You reward yourself for each step. Maybe you listen to your favorite podcast or just give yourself a mental high five. You are slowly shaping your own habit. You're just trying to be a little bit better than you were yesterday. Now here's where it gets really interesting. Shaping is so powerful that we do it all the time without even knowing it. And sometimes, we accidentally shape behaviors we don't actually want. Think about a child in a grocery store. At first, maybe they ask for a candy bar nicely. You say no, so they ask a little louder. You still say no. Then they start to whine, "Please!" It's annoying, but you hold strong. Then the whining turns into a full-blown tantrum with crying and screaming on the floor. It's so embarrassing. Everyone is staring. Finally, you can't take it anymore. You give in and buy the candy bar just to make the screaming stop. Phew, silence. But what did you just do? You just used shaping to teach your child that a tantrum is the best way to get a candy bar. You didn't reward the nice asking. You didn't reward the louder asking. You didn't even reward the whining. You waited until the behavior was at its absolute worst, the full-blown tantrum, and then you delivered the reward. You accidentally shaped a monster tantrum. Oops! This happens with our pets too. Imagine your dog wants to go outside. At first, he sits quietly by the door. You're busy, so you don't notice. Finally, he starts barking loudly and continuously. It's so annoying you jump up and open the door. But barking like a maniac, that works every single time. We even do this with other adults. If you finally answer them just to get them to go away, you've just rewarded their pushy behavior. Sometimes we have the best intentions, but our shaping plans can go a little sideways. One common mistake is what I call the just one more thing problem. This is when we ask for too much, too soon. You're teaching your son to make his bed. The first day, he pulls up the blanket. You praise him. Yay! The next day you say, "Okay, today you have to pull up the blanket and arrange the pillows." That might be too big of a jump. He might feel like he failed, get frustrated, and not want to try anymore. Think of it like a video game. You don't go from level 1 to level 2, level 3, level 4, and all the levels in between. If a step is too hard, the learner will likely give up. Another way shaping goes wrong is when the reward isn't, well, rewarding. You might think that saying "good job" is a great reward, and for some kids it is. But for another kid, maybe they don't care about praise. Maybe they would rather have 5 extra minutes of screen time. A reward only works if the person receiving it actually wants it. A good reward is the fuel for your shaping engine, so make sure your rewards are actually rewarding. The coolest thing about understanding shaping is that you can use it on yourself. You have the power to build any habit you want, one tiny step at a time. Do you want to start meditating, but sitting still for 20 minutes feels impossible? Don't try to do that. Shape it. Your goal is 20 minutes of daily meditation. Your first step? Sit on your meditation cushion for 1 minute. Just one. After you do it, give yourself a little reward. Acknowledge that you did it. I'm a person who meditates. After a few days of meditating for 1 minute, you're ready for the next step. Try for 3 minutes. It will feel just as easy as 1 minute did at the start. This works for anything. Want to drink more water? Don't start by trying to drink a gallon a day. Start by putting a glass of water on your desk. That's it. Want to learn a new language? Don't try to study for an hour. Use an app for just 5 minutes a day. The key is to make the first step so ridiculously easy that you can't say no. By taking control of this process, you become the architect of your own life. You stop waiting for motivation and start building it yourself. Every time you complete a tiny step, you give yourself a little hit of success. That success builds confidence, and that confidence makes you want to take the next step. It's a beautiful positive cycle. So there you have it. But now you're in on the secret. You're basically a behavioral scientist now. So go out there and be a shaper. Now go put it to good use and make the world a little bit better, one baby step at a time. That wraps up Chapter 9, Shaping, from your Behavior Modification textbook. If this walkthrough was helpful, please give the video a like so that other students can find it too. You can always use the timestamps to review key sections or head to the playlist to continue with the next chapter. Subscribe to ChapterCast for more chapter-by-chapter study guides, and let me know in the comments which concept you'd like broken down next. Thank you for learning with ChapterCast, where textbooks become study-friendly lessons. See you in Chapter 10, where we will break down prompting and transfer of stimulus control.